Unmute.
That's basically not ready for you for next up.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Slow News Day live morning edition. My name is Steve Poikinen. I'm hanging out in the Humboldt Hills, and it looks like the smoke might have found us again. Either that or it's a little bit hazy this morning. Guy, I hope the wildfire smoke stays the fuck away. Hope everyone's doing good today. Saw some comments in the YouTube chat about people enjoying these shows. I appreciate that. I do know it's rough on Sleepy. Sorry, Sleep. We'll figure this out. We will. We will figure this out. But no, I mean, I've gotten a really good response from these shows, really good reception. So hopefully it takes off and it becomes a really kick-ass thing. The show is sponsored by Matrix Bars. Matrix Bars have 3.5 grams of psilocybin mushroom per bar. My bars came in yesterday. Well, they came in the day before. So, okay. First of all, the last time that I got a shipment from Matrix Bars, and by the way, for the Matrix Bar people, this totally counts as the promo and the commercial story I'm about to tell. Like, I'll still mention you at the end of the show too, but this counts for that time. The town of Alder Point, California, is 17 trailers, 45 houses. Maybe the metrics are reversed on that. A post office, a general store, and that's like the whole fucking thing. That's it. Consequently, available employees for the post office probably pretty thin on the ground because they've been using the same one since the Pony Express days. Her name's Marilyn. She's lovely. Said no shit. So I went in yesterday when the mail showed up, asked for the package. I don't know what you're talking about, guy. Okay, fair enough. Ben went into the day, asked about the package. Don't know what you're talking about, guy. Fair enough. Went in yesterday, different lady. Hey, just checking to see. No, nothing there. Really weird because tracking number said it was delivered. Let's find the thing. She spent 10 minutes looking around the post office. I lean over the counter. There's a box that looks very similar to the last box that I received from the Matrix Bar people. And I was like, hey, yo, what about that? It was set to go out for delivery. Y'all, there's no out to deliver to. That's the only, that's like the P.O. box. Well, P.O. box. It's the post office. By the way, if you ever dox me, you're going to find the post office in Alder Point, California. I can give you directions to that right now. Which is hilarious too, because that has when I did the unboxing thing, like I had that address. So I'm Johnny Buttons. He's like, you just let your address out on the internet. And I'm like, dude, check. And he sends me a picture of the Alder Point post office. And he's like, oh, I got you. Never mind. At any rate, she lost my delivery inside the post office. It's not even that big of a building, y'all. Not one, but two USPS employees were unable to find my delivery. I had to lean over the counter and be like, hey, yo, what's under that envelope right there? Oh, that says the name of my show on it. Oh, that you should probably hand me that. At any rate, Matrix Bars, they don't lose your mail in the post office. They don't. They just show up on time. So far, every time. Hella insulated bag because it's been hot as shit. So they haven't been melted, which has been very nice because when they do melt, it kind of unevenly distributes all of the goodness to weighs it to whatever corner it melts at, and then you've got a whole lot in a little bite, which is really kind of surprising and pretty interesting if you weren't expecting it. So that's a tip too. Matrix Genetix. Find them on Twitter and Instagram. Scan the QR code on the screen. Go down the rabbit hole. Yeah. Enjoy that shit. Moving on. Let's see. Oh, so okay. We meant to do this yesterday. We touched on it a little bit. Good Lord, what day is it? It's Wednesday, right?
I don't fucking know. It's 7:50 in the morning. I haven't had enough coffee for that question yet.
Someone who isn't Sleepy Josh, please verify that today is Wednesday. It is. Okay, cool. Thank you. I thought, but I wasn't 100%. At any rate, we touched on this a little bit. We made fun of it, on Twitter and shit like that. But there, all over the country, September 18th, there was I don't know, like basically the re-MAGA-ing of the political landscape, or at least that was what it was being pushed as. We were being pushed as justice for January 6th protesters, because there are dozens, if not a couple hundred people who are locked up, some without charges, some who have like serious, all kinds of fucking, felony overthrow the government charges, shit like that. And they're legitimate political prisoners. We saw a moment, and I think we played it on the show, where Cara Castronova, who's been organizing these Justice for January 6th protesters, and one of the Black Lives Matter Brooklyn dudes, he came to her event, and they had a big talk about unity. And they had a big talk about, he got up and told the January 6th protest crowd, hey, man, everything that the cops are doing to you guys, everything that the legal system's doing to you guys, they've been doing to us the entire fucking time. We've been trying to make some noise about it. Now that you're making a noise about it, let's do that at the same time, because it's for the same reason. So let's be mad together, and not just selectively when it will only make, our side, whatever our side is, look good. How about we all just be pissed off and demand better out of, justice system and police. The right answer would be abolish the police entirely. Fucking don't make being judges a lifetime position. Jesus Christ, man. Here's the thing: you make anything a lifetime position, you're just begging for the worst to come rushing out of that individual. You are. If you can't get fired, you can't get fired. And the only way to get recalled is to convince enough of the people who voted you in. Oh, no, because you're an appointment. You're appointed.
We've all met people that play video games that put in a cheat code where you can't die.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're doing just all the dumbest shit you ever imagined.
Yeah.
This is human nature.
Yeah, lifetime appointment is definitely a cheat code to go do dumb shit with zero accountability. 100%. Absolutely. We can have lifetime appointed anything is wild as fuck. But I mean, even the way that appointments are made. We were talking about this a little bit with Pierce Robinson inside the university system, and I wanted to bring this up. I just, conversation went a completely different direction. But in terms of who sets the tone at the university level, and the universities that have been influential throughout the years, we were talking a little bit in the moment. This is why I thought of it. Of academia's role with the intelligence community, where they're openly recruiting on campus. Piers had brought up the church committee in terms of disclosing CIA activity, both foreign and domestic at the media level, but it also did at the level of academia. Janet Napolitano, former Department of Jesus, she was DHS. She was Homeland Security under George Bush, I think. She's the guy. She was for a number of years the president of the University of California system. She ran the entire thing. Like, we've got one of the head feds and one of the feds responsible for like more off book and like black book intel gathering, spying, shit like that than people realize. She's running a university system. That's insane. I don't know. They're getting way the fuck off topic for the Fed stock shit though. So last Saturday, in DC, dozens gathered, most of them media, and then apparently the rest of them feds. Our good friend Ford Fisher, as always, out there on the ground and documenting what's going on. A great thread on Twitter the other day, and we showed the footage of Capitol Police dressed out in full riot gear, like, and just blacked out uniforms, fucking special ops style. Remember, Capitol Police just got a $1.2 billion budget increase after January 6th, after they murdered a woman in cold blood, after they helped the protesters into the Citadel, after all of that. They got a $1.2 billion budget increase and branch offices in LA and New York. The Capitol Police have branch offices in LA and New York. That's what they get for murdering Ashley Babbitt in cold blood. They get that. They get money and, new staff. The one person at this event they find with a weapon turns out to be a cop. We showed that footage. We'll show it again. We'll remind you. The whole thing was just, and this is why Tedros Fikra was worried. The whole thing was being built up to be just a bloodbath and shit show. But yeah, the only person they could find walking around armed, one of theirs, who they just sort of hand all this shit back to and walk out real quick. So if you want to go ahead and cue that up, Sleepy, I will mute up for a minute.
Yeah. Push him back. I'm gonna get the creds. Get back there.
What happened?
Back up, please. Cruiser 100. We have the individual stops.
You guys just give us a little space, all right?
Give them a little bit of space.
Give us a little space, all right?
Ask what you're what?
Are you undercover? Are you part of the event?
I'm just here.
Where's your weapon?
You guys got it. It's on the boat. Everything all good?
You already verified?
Back up. Everything good?
What's your name?
Working? No.
9:35 November.
Okay.
Checks around
What's your name, sir? Just don't drop it on my head. How about that? Perfect.
What do you want to take?
What's your
All
name?
right, give me a diamond this way.
Copy.
This way. Go straight.
Copy. Out of my way, people. Thank you.
Move back. Move back. Move back. Move back.
What's your name, sir? What's your name?
Right to the path.
I mean, look at those fucking uniforms, though.
Back up. Back up.
Like, aside from the fact that they're walking out the fucking world's tiniest Fed,
Spread them out. Spread them
they're a
out.
pocket
Back up.
Fed.
Back up.
Oh, that guy had some faith in his boys, didn't he? Back up!
Everybody move back for me, please.
No wonder they got the fucking special ops uniforms. They got like 19-year-old kids out there.
Everybody back up.
Hey, mister, I'm gonna shoot you.
You want to make a statement? What's your name, sir? Guys, keep backing up for me, please. Thank you. You just hold the breath.
I mean, can you would you mind like bringing that whole thread up so we could scroll it a little bit, because there's some fantastic tidbits in there? Or is it should I go?
You have to share that one.
Pardon?
I don't have the link.
Okay.
It's from yesterday.
Well, I buried up in the element somewhere. It'll probably be faster if I just look it up on the tweeters. But yeah, I mean, aside from that, the tiniest Fed in the world being escorted out and being the only person there to have been caught with a weapon is just absolutely crazy. Ooh, hey, this is neat. You know what? Fuck. I wish I would have seen this earlier. Extinction Rebellion in DC's been out and having fun. One of their activists was arrested by the Parks Police in DC, after partially sinking a row house into the tidal basin near the Jefferson Memorial to draw attention to the rising sea levels from climate change. Let's go ahead and open that up. We sunk a house to symbolize our very near future. DC is going to be underwater soon. Interesting. Oh, and she gets arrested on camera. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and send you this thread, Sleepy. Maybe we can pull that up here in a bit. We'll do that. It's in the element. That's wild. That's wild. You know, I gotta say, man, as far as environmentalist groups go, I'm usually not a fan. They're usually like all tell, no show. And more often than not, they're fucking limited hangout operations that are massively funded by George Soros and the exact same NGOs that profit from the people who are already destroying the planet. Lots of intelligence community fucking hanging out in there. Not that there's not. In Extinction Rebellion, Jesus Christ, they sunk a fucking house in front of the Lincoln Memorial. You don't think there wasn't fucking FBI eyes on that? Of course there was. Of course there was. But I mean, that's good shit, to be perfectly honest. Whether or not they're right about the climate thing, whether or not they're reading from the same fucking manual that the rest of us are on, that is beside the point. Because if they're making oligarchs uncomfortable, I'm for that. I am. The leader, the guy who created Extinction Rebellion over in the UK, left because they weren't ready to get fucking down fast enough. So, I don't know. But we're all just going to pretend like that's the only reason I'm justifying what XRDC is doing. Okay, guys? Okay. Moving on. That's wild, though. Wild. Good shit. Not what I was trying to find from Mr. Ford Fisher, though. Let's see. Ford Fisher, like, dude, we should just hang out on Ford's fucking timeline for a little bit. This shit is wildly entertaining. So let's do this, and maybe we can at least get, if there is any decent audio. That's the one we just watched. Here you can clearly see the undercover, fucking, what is this? Demolition Man? Is that where we're at? The cops are Demolition Man? Is there a better way to describe that?
I don't know. Fucking stormtroopers.
But they're clear. I mean, yeah. Well, that's it, man. It's the all blacked out like special forces shit, but the fucking shoulder pads and fucking bracers and shit, it all, it's got a very, I'm Sylvester Stallone in the 90s making a movie about the future where the cops are in fact black clad roided out fucking murderers.
I mean, I guess that's how most cops are now, so there's that.
Clearly examining fucking little Mighty Mo's fucking Fed badge there. The masked man claimed, "I'm just here," when asked if he's an undercover, as he presented a badge to justify the gun he was apparently wearing before being pulled out. Other than undercover, he could have been hypothetically masked and off duty with his badge and gun concealed. Just a regular guy out there for freedom. I mean, that's just wild. And then the United States Capitol Police made a statement about the armed man who presented a badge and was removed from the event without being disarmed or handcuffed on scene. They say it is not clear why the man was at the demonstration and that they charged him for the gun. They don't mention his badge. Questions remain about the situation yesterday outside the Capitol with respect to an apparently armed masked person who was escorted out of the event without being disarmed or handcuffed after presenting a badge. Ford sent questions. Big update. The individual arrested at Saturday's rally at the Capitol was a federal agent, and he will not be prosecuted. U.S. Attorney says they're not moving forward with charges, but did not prove additional information about the decision. The arrest was captured on video by reporter Ford Fisher. Said the man was not disarmed or handcuffed. Yeah. I mean, it's not, Jesus Christ. If you're going to send, hang on. Normally I have like 7 sneezes in a row and they're incredibly violent. So we got away with something there. if you're gonna send in somebody to be fair, and look, I'm not saying that he was there to start shit. Maybe he didn't get a chance to. Maybe the moment didn't present itself to make it look organic. I don't know. He could have just been there to identify and observe, collect information, and just didn't want to go anywhere without his pistol. You know, I could be, I don't know. But when the only arrest you make at what was hyped up to be a massively violent protest built by and filled with domestic terrorists, and the only arrest you make is a 5'4", 97-pound Fed, that makes me wonder where the real false flag is. That makes me wonder what we're not necessarily seeing. I think Teddy might be onto some shit, you know, at least in the long run with the his concerns about the market. We're overdue. We're well overdue. I don't know what, you know, but I do know that Fed stock shit was weak as fuck. Oh, there is some other crazy shit as well. And that is this whole week we're going to be talking about what's going on in Australia. Because Australia is turning into a technocratic nightmare. Australia has seen days and days and days of protests, to the point to where their construction workers went on strike, said, no, we're not going to submit to forced medical experimentation. We're going to freely assemble and protest. And so the police did what police do everywhere. They tried to prevent them from doing this. A couple of days ago, the Aussies said, yeah, no, fuck you, and just sort of ran over and through and into and then through again lines of police, basically just kicking the crap out of them. And so they went for the cops showed up yesterday or this morning, really, for round two. I fucking didn't get the video over to Sleepy in time. I'm gonna go ahead and drop it, and maybe we'll be able to get to it today, or we'll show it later this evening. But they gathered at the Shrine of Remembrance in Victoria, and holy shit, cops show up and just start fucking dumping rubber bullets into people. They're like, oh no, you made us look bad yesterday, mate, but not today. And fucking just let go. Trying to find any like latest up, because this was all last night as I was trying to crash out again. I slept like shit all day. There we go. Let's see what's happening. Yeah, no, that's pretty much like I mean, just cops unloading on protesters. There's a hashtag going around right now called Australia is Fallen. That's interesting. So you go Thursday afternoons. Tomorrow afternoon, we're going to have a couple of guys from Australia on the show who are like attending these things and reporting on these things from there. Michael Swift is a friend and contact to Eva Bartlett's, and she put out a note to a handful of us the other day saying, hey, if yeah, please, if you can schedule this guy while they're still in Australia, it's but pretty important that people know what's happening to the folks that live there. So we're doing just that. That's going to be tomorrow night at 4 on the West Coast, 7 on the East Coast. Tonight, Project Veritas is releasing their second whistleblower video. So we're gonna be live for that. We have a Super Ray over on the Rockfin. Tea Leaves says they lost it because it was an accident. That's a great word. People who've been vaxxed are acting strangely. I agree. By it, I think maybe you mean mental faculties. I'm not 100% sure. It was pretty early on in the show, but I do appreciate the Super Ray very much. Thank you for that. The show is entirely viewer supported. We do have the sponsor, but the sponsor sends me a couple of bars of mushroom chocolates a month, and that's how we partnered. That's how we worked this out. Like, they send me some free Matrix bars, and I talk about how cool the product is, because it is. So I don't even have to like I'd be doing it anyway, basically. Probably not every show, but I do it every show for a fucking, Matrix bar, because they're delicious. In fact, I think we're going to have a piece. So this is the Remembrance Shrine in Victoria, Australia, just about 6-7 hours ago. And I'll shut up. It looks all too familiar because we're so incredibly used to seeing U.S. cops unload on fucking anyone gathering to stand together in liberty or for more freedom, or to get the police to stop unloading bullets on people every time they gather for more liberty and more freedom. This is this is happening everywhere. People are gathering to say no to lockdowns, to say no to mandates, to say we're not going to participate in forced experimentation. Look, you can complain about full hospitals, but you dumbasses are the ones who are firing people for not signing up for this shit. You guys are the ones who scaled back your staffing in 2019 and 2020 ahead of all of this shit. So if you reduce the number of employees that you have, then you fire a significant number of employees. Don't act surprised or claim that it's the fault of people who won't take part in an experiment that are clogging your hospitals. This is just an hour ago in Melbourne. And this is where what the situation looks like on the ground there. I am really fascinated by the resistance that people are showing in Australia. We'll get into why later on in the week. And I'm getting a message from Charlie here, who will be joining us in about 10 minutes. So really looking forward to that. Roll clip, please, Sleepy Josh.
It's very peaceful here, guys. I'm not the bad guy.
Filming a police retreat here. They're yelling at people on the road. Nobody has weapons, everyone's armed.
I got pause it for a second. This has a real mock Schnell kind of feel.
Let us get back to work. Let us provide for our families. Let us worship. Let us love our families.
So things are splendid in Australia. Splendid. Pepper spray and rubber bullets instead of water cannons and batons. But hey, progress, right? And the consistent thing there's the police dogs. And the sticks. Those don't ever really go away. They don't. I don't know if we've mentioned this or not, guys, but Joe Biden has dementia. Even the dog agrees. Even the dog knows. Joe Biden is a man in serious cognitive decline. If you watch old Slow News Days from I don't know, I think like maybe January of last year, maybe of last year. Jesus Christ, that was a long time ago now. Pre like presidential contest being decided, but after I think some early polling and a couple of people dropped out, I theorized that Joe Biden was only being let to continue to be in the primary because he pissed off the wrong political elites, and it was his punishment to go through the rest of his cognitive decline in full view of the American public. I also thought maybe, and I think this is the more correct though less funny position to take, that Joe Biden is just simply the most malleable because there are instant grits in his head where his brains used to be. And I think that leaf blower sound, the generator's on, the dog's whining. There are some very, very loud roosters. The turkeys are pretty loud. The guinea hens are pretty loud. The goats aren't that loud. Yeah. But I'm not sure what the leaf blower sound is. I'm not sure. At any rate, Joe Biden, they're seeding the narrative that he's about to disappear. So this is coming out of Zero Hedge. Title of the article is the deep state will toss Joseph Biden out like an old casserole within a year. When White House officials leak damaging goodies to their allies at Politico, it's a sure sign that the sinking ship is barely treading water. The rats appear to be jumping. Biden's presidency will likely not survive another year. Let me make this a little easier to read. Anxiety about what Joe Biden might say if he takes questions from the media drives some in the White House to mute him or turn off his public appearances altogether. Neat. Citing White House officials out of Politico, Biden has made frequent flubs during press events and other public appearances by losing his line of thinking, stumbling, and forgetting names. If only Biden was just up front and said, hey, I smoke a lot of weed. Yeah, I got a lot on my mind. I'm presidenting, high as a motherfucker over here. You got me on like 18 different drugs just so I can walk up to this podium in general. I'm going to forget some shit. He can't do that. Where the fuck did that article go? There it is. Biden occasionally shrugs off reporters' inquiries by telling the press that his staff directed him not to take questions, suggesting officials seek to minimize the number of those incidents. This is all an outrageous, illegitimate effort to affront to the facade of American democracy. No voter elected the anonymous staffers and bureaucrats who control when the president can speak and what he can speak about. In a functional representative democracy, what the fuck is that? Shadowy figures in the background don't get to control such issues. The people theoretically elect their representatives to personally work on their behalf. That is what the marketing says. That is. Biden's handlers, let's get you home away from these cameras, sweetie muffin. That's good shit. That is. I want to hope that this is Zero Hedge's way of telling us that Joe Biden's Secret Service name is Sweetie Muffin. So I just want to know that. Outrageous for sure, but also understandable from a political perspective for the cynical DNC goons currently in control. Every time he opens his mouth, whatever comes out is sure to embarrass his handlers. Seemingly forgets where he is. He confuses his wife with his daughter. That's not about him being senile. That's about him being creepy. Tells wildly incoherent stories about bad dudes named Corn Pop who he threatened with a chain outside of a swimming pool in Delaware or something. Says poor kids are just as smart and talented as white kids. Virtue signal cell phone. Jokes about running over reporters that jump like a motherfucker, and that's pretty irritating. Jokes about running over reporters asking for questions at photo ops. Physician and Texas Representative Ronnie Jackson offered this prediction. I think he's either going to resign, they're going to convince him to resign from office at some point in the near future for medical issues, or they're going to have to use the 25th Amendment to get rid of this man. Now, whether or not that's accurate, whether or not that means anything, because remember, guys, they tried to do the exact same thing in the media with Donald Trump to no avail. But to Trump's, I guess, credit, Trump wasn't trailing off mid-sentence and being like, hey man, why don't you bring me a little girl?
Or just
like that's not,
or wandering off. He's like wandered off a bunch.
Bro, yeah, no, you're right, dude, deadass. There was something that, like, it was early on in the coronavirus thing, and like he walks out there and he says some shit that just.
Recently, I saw it. He's done it recently too. It wasn't just that one time. Like he's done it a bunch of times. It's funny as fuck. Just like, where am I? Where's the country kitchen buffet?
Sheila, I thought you said we were going to Cracker Barrel. My name's Jill, Joe. You know that. Shut up, Sheila. I'll beat the fuck out of you. Where's my chain? Fuck. What the fuck, man? Go back to this article here real quick. The absurdity emanating from the White House, of course, is not new. Earlier this year, her anointed grace, First Lady Jill Biden, brazenly claimed authority over the G7 despite never having won an election in her lifetime. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Nice. Glad Dr. Jill is running the country with all of the authority that elementary school teacher gives her. Good job. Good job. I'm a partner on this journey. Jill Biden on how she sees her role as first lady during debut foreign trip. Yeah. All things considered, Biden's handlers are desperate to shove anyone else into the spotlight besides Joseph R. himself. President Joe Biden is having a very bad month. His poll numbers have slipped to their lowest point of his presidency, and much of it has to do with COVID and Afghanistan. The president began the month with an average job approval rating of 51.5, down from 54% at the start of May. By Tuesday, Biden's average approval rating had fallen to 47%, the lowest so far in his presidency. In Washington, Biden's plummeting approval ratings are causing headaches for his fellow Democrats. You don't say. There's the trend line right there. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris has the lowest approval ratings of any vice president ever in the history of them tracking how popular or unpopular vice presidents are. Kamala Harris, in case anyone forgets, is a dead-eyed, soulless servant to power who can't but help chuckle anytime her sociopathic self thinks she's getting away with something. Ladies and gentlemen, I did introduce Charlie. Coming back to the program here to discuss Hypocrazy. Best-selling author, number one best-selling author, host of the Macroaggressions podcast, one of the four horsemen on the Union of the Unwanted, author of The Octopus of Global Control and the Controlled Demolition of the American Empire, now with his third book, that I am aware of, probably his 17th book, and I'm just an asshole. Charlie Robinson.
Hey, what's going on, man? Good to see you again.
It's great to see you. Of course,
it's appropriate. It's perfect that you introduced me right as you're coming off of the Kamala Harris dead-eyed. She's got that Muhammad Atta feel to her, like she would slice you up into a million pieces if given the opportunity to, cackling like a hyena the whole way.
The cackle would follow suit, man. Like,
oh yeah.
So I know, I mean, Muhammad Atta, yes, I can see that, but it to kind of, just for me and you and maybe Sleepy, you know what I see when I look at Kamala Harris? I see that scene in Temple of the Doom where the priest is cutting the heart out of that guy. Kamala Harris. Yeah,
they're lowering him down.
Kamala Harris, essentially that priest, just smiling and full of the zeal of her own power.
That is a really good description. I know the scene, obviously, watched it many, many times. You know, there are few careers in the world that you are better suited for with a psychopathic, personality type. That unlike politics is just, it gives them everything that they could possibly want. Power over other people, unaccountability, which you would think that you'd think being elected would be like accountability. Exactly the opposite. Like your approval ratings are in the toilet. Doesn't matter. Too late. too late. What are you going to do? Vote her out now? Good luck. It gives you access to money. It gives you access. I mean, this is the ultimate job for somebody that likes to tell other people what to do. You get power and an ego trip that, God, must be like unimaginable for a psychopath who's drawn to this sort of stuff like moths to a flame. And of course, if you write a book about control, like I do, you wind up understanding like control structures and how the government is sort of built out in this way that it attracts the absolute worst of society because it gives a person all the things that the absolute worst people in society would want. Like, I don't want to tell everyone what to do and boss people around. That doesn't appeal to me. But if you're psychopathic, or if you're a child sexual predator, you go into the Boy Scouts because the hunting's good, right? If you're a dead-eyed psychopath like Kamala Harris that likes to boss people around, tell people what to do, feel important, be put on a pedestal, politics gives you that, like in spades. I mean, it's so we can't be too surprised when we get the worst of the worst, when the rewards are perfect for people that love these sorts of things. Kamala Harris is a psychopath of the highest order. Don't get me wrong, but she's in a group of she's in a sea of psychopaths in Washington D.C. But even she stands out.
She's just an exceptionally easily smellable turd in the punch bowl, which is all turds and no actual punch. It's just in the bowl. And she's one of the brighter turds in the punch bowl. More polished. She's got that Hillary Clinton vibe to her, and we all know this. This is not breaking news, but it's that, when somebody presents a pushback to what she's saying, her response is to do the cackle. And when you hear the cackle, nothing good is coming. It's like the signal. Here comes some bullshit. Get ready for it because here it comes. And she's like cackling to buy herself a little bit of time to go like, okay, how do I appear a little bit human? How do I appear to not be an empathy deficient serial killer right now? How do I do that? Let me give myself 3 extra seconds to try and like pretend that I care. And then but you can't fake. No,
you can't fake empathy. And they're out of it. They're like gas tank is on empty.
Well, here's in all of these cases with all of these politicians, especially liberal women, the managers, the handlers, their biggest challenge when you talk to them and when they finally blab to the press is always, we couldn't make this bitch human. We couldn't make her likable. We couldn't find a way to make them connect with anyone on a human level. They're just monsters and totally unlikable on the surface, let alone what these goddamn demons are like on the inside. And it's not unique to the U.S. Drayson Francis in the chat up north saying, we just elected, blackface Trudeau again, which I'm sure was a free and fair election too, given Justin Trudeau's incredibly high approval ratings.
Right. He wasn't booed out of every stop his bus made. They weren't pelting him with gravel. They weren't, did you see the video of the one guy who takes the selfie with him and then calls him an authoritarian something or other? I forget what he said to him, but it was great. Look, the wheels are coming off. Here's the good news. The wheels are coming off. Everyone is starting to recognize this. Well, you would think. And I don't believe.
Hey, hang on real quick. Let me interrupt just for a second because I love, you could tell when this is like the anarchist dog whistle. Okay. When someone says, so look, I mean, I think we can all agree that the entire system is falling apart. And I, for one, couldn't be more fucking thrilled. Right. Yeah. I'm like, that's a good thing. It is. It's a good thing. Continue.
The guy in the same a different video I saw, but also yesterday, of the guy. Apparently, I'm assuming it was Australia. I'm pretty sure it could have been the UK, where he's standing kind of off to the side, not on the street, but he's standing kind of up on the beginning of a grassy hill, and he's just standing there. And this cop comes running up to him with a gun, and the guy just doesn't move. The cop walks right up to him and then just moves away. And you go, oh, that is so powerful. That just showed us that it's like a huge illusion. It's like if you stand up to them, their power is just disappears. And so yeah, the wheels are coming off, and I'm here for all of it. I'm here for Australia waking up and fighting back. I'm here for Canada throwing gravel. And I know I'm supposed to say, well, you have to show these people some respect. No, I'm not saying that. They don't show us any respect. If you want to throw gravel, that's your thing. Throw gravel at him. He deserves you to berate him with words, for sure. I mean, anytime Justin Trudeau is out in public, he should be given the Bill de Blasio treatment. When you've seen the videos of him walking down the street with the guys that, there's New York, you fucking bastard, and they're just riding him like he's in the on deck circle at a Mets game or something. And that's how you should be. They should always be on their heels. They should always be defensive, because their actions are indefensible. They should always feel like when they go outside, they have to have security guards because they're going to get the business. Because that like Chris Hedges talks about this. He talks about, the story of Henry Kissinger and Richard Nixon in the White House when they're having the big protests in Washington, D.C., the anti-war protests. And Nixon has put buses end to end around the White House to try and act as an additional barrier. And they're sitting there and they're looking out the window and Nixon's rubbing his hands and he's saying, Henry, they're going to get us. They're going to come over the walls and they're going to get us. And Chris Hedges suggests that that's exactly where you want them at all times. Having that thought in their head that if they don't behave, they're coming to get us. Now, whether we're actually coming to get them or not, that should be their default mechanism. That should be their default feeling is, if I don't do what I say I'm going to do, they're coming to get me. Be that in an election or the guillotines. I mean, whatever. But that should be how you make them feel, because if you make them feel that way, then there's at least the perception of accountability. What we have right now is zero accountability, and they know it, and we know it, and we see it, and it makes us feel more despondent when you see some maniac like Gavin Newsom get reelected, and then Justin Trudeau. Now, we all know that the elections are totally, wonky. But if you don't know that, if you think it's a fair and balanced election, and you see Gavin Newsom get reelected, you've got to just be like, what are we doing here? So get these people on their heels. Get Justin Trudeau afraid to come out for fear that he'll get, either pelted in actuality or the proverbial pelting from the population. Get Gavin Newsom uncomfortable going out to dinner because he knows that every time he goes out, he's going to get shouted out by the people there. I mean, be as much of a dick to them as they are to us.
Yes. Thank you, Charlie Robinson, for saying that. Thank you. That is, I'm
not inciting violence. Right. I'm inciting you to be as frustrated externally as you are like everybody is feeling this. And those people, it's not like we just got struck by a meteor. Like, this is governmental doing. This is their doing. These are decisions being made at the highest levels to create this scenario. So forgive me if I've lost my patience with that, because Joe Biden's lost his patience with me, but collectively as a nation, we've lost our fucking patience with all of them. And they should be made to feel that everywhere they go. And that's really about the only way things are going to change.
We're out of patience, man. We're out of patience. That fucking guy. Look, that video that I think her name's Megan McDowell, that she made about it, black woman, where she was just like, "Oh, this man thinks I'm
you're
his
out of patience with me. I'm not on. You're not putting me on the corner."
Oh, I get it. This man is crazy. Oh, okay. He really thinks. Yeah, and yes, and it's not unique to Joe Biden. Everyone in government thinks you, normal working human being, even you as a small business owner, clearly you as a medium-sized business owner, clearly you are their bitch. And it's our job to go out and peddle our ass so that they can take our money before we get it. Go through and figure out how much of our money they want to steal and then give us some of our money back so that they can steal some more of it every time we go to buy something.
Yeah, I think people's relationships with government is changing. I hope so. I mean, we're obviously preaching to the choir here. Our relationship with the government changed a while ago, but I think we're even seeing some of the normies. You know, when you see like the jokey memes where it's like, you know, the Leonardo DiCaprio with the drink saying, you know, watching the 3 vaxxers turn on the double vaxxers. Like that's where we are right now. Where let's just let this whole thing play out a little bit longer, and we're going to get to a point where everybody's eating their own tail, where the left is making authoritarian demands that are, you know, even more cartoonish than they've already been making, and watch even the most dumbed down normie, like not dumbed down, but, you know, like in their own sort of world normie, finally break out and go, I think you're all crazy. And I'm done listening to all of you. And you're selling this shot really hard for you being a government that, like Steve says, goes out of your way to come up with new and inventive ways to steal my money and treat me poorly. Now, all of a sudden, you just magically care about my health a lot, like a whole lot, like so much so that you're like knocking on my door to make sure I'm healthy. You know, allow me to be a little bit suspicious about this. So I think that like even the normal people in the world that kind of go along to get along or buy the mainstream narrative or don't care one way or the other, I think even they are going to at some point come to this and go, none of this makes any sense anymore. This is just weird.
Well, I mean, God, that's my hope, but because, you know, you can hope in one hand and shit in the other and find out pretty quick which one fills up faster. You got to do a little something about it too. I feel like because of how unique and entirely beneficial Union of the Unwanted has been to people, just as like weird as a project as it is fucking, you know, as like wrong as it could go every time, and it just doesn't, you know, like it. What that has done is gone a long way to help people like own the fact that it's perfectly natural to feel like something is very wrong, to feel like you're being lied to at every corner, and that you are not alone. You're not the only person who thinks this way. There's a massive community out there of people, and there's a number of people who are putting out fantastic information all on every corner of this like truth spectrum media, I guess is what it would be, who are, you know, building and developing communities of their own, of our own, and that there's an alternative. And I think if we can give people a visible working example of what parallel society looks like, then people are going to become more comfortable, because now people are comfortable with their thoughts. People are just starting to get comfortable. I mean, like, we've been doing it the whole time, but we're not everybody, you know, but people are just now starting to get comfortable expressing those thoughts. Yeah. Not just in the street and protest form, but to one another. People are finally standing up to their families, and finally standing up to their coworkers, and finally standing up to the fucking whatever random Karens in the grocery store. Right. You know, fuck off. I'm not going to do this.
The Union of the Unwanted show has been great in that sense too, because like what you mentioned was, you know, a lot of people feeling disconnected and feeling like maybe I'm the only one that feels this way, or I have this problem with my family. And you go, and or I'm not really sure about the shots. I hear a bunch of crazy things, but I'm not sure how to feel one way or the other. And then they tune in and they see Dr. Robert Malone, the inventor of the mRNA technology, on there going, I have real questions about this. I think that, you know, my Frankenstein monster has been hijacked. You know, I think that, you know, we all are. He goes, how are you guys all feeling? We're like, oh, we're pretty good. He goes, I'm glad you guys are feeling good, because I don't feel very good. I'm really concerned. We're like, you are? Like, oh shit. Yeah. But so everyone out there that that watches that and goes, you know, I was kind of unsure how to feel about this, but now like the guy who's invented the technology and he's saying there's a problem here. Okay, that may, for some people, that probably made it real, a little bit more real than me saying I feel like there's a problem. It's like, it's my opinion, and I might be right and I might be wrong. But when the inventor comes on and goes, listen, the technology that we've created, you can't turn it off. Once you turn it on, you can't turn it off. It starts manufacturing these things and we can't switch. And you're like, oh, okay, now I'm scared. Now I'm really scared. So that's brought people together and given them the opportunity to hear a bunch of experts, you know, like on that episode with Dr. Robert Malone, there were 7 other doctors on the show as well. So it wasn't just him.
Yeah.
It's like people are getting it from every angle and they're able to see that and they go, okay, so my suspicions have been confirmed. It's not just, and I'm not a doctor, but I had these suspicions and now I go on, I see this show. There's 8 doctors on there. They're all talking about the same thing a little differently. They're all in different perspectives. One guy's in Israel, one guy's in the UK, a bunch of people in the US, and they're all saying the same thing. All right, maybe we should pay attention. So it's been a nice platform for people to get together and see what the experts think of this. And as you start to see, all right, the doctors, you know, the people that know more than we've been trained to outsource our critical thinking to the media, right? And the media has scientists on and experts, and we go, I'm not an epidemiologist. I don't know if this is true or not. This guy is. He probably knows more than me. I'll listen to him. Well, he's on MSNBC. So that automatically is your first problem. But it's reasonable to default or defer to somebody else who has more knowledge than you. The problem is they're only picking the people that have the agenda that lines up with what they want it to say. And what the Union of the Unwanted does is we give that platform and the same mentality, which is we're going to bring in a lot of experts that know more about this than we do, but they're going to say whatever they want to say. We're not telling them what to say. If they might happen to all have the same opinion, but that will be coincidental. That'll just be because they've come to that same conclusion, but we're open to whatever. Like, talk about everything. Let's hash this shit out, come to some sort of like understanding of it, and then move on to the next thing.
Well, and you hit the nail on the head there too, because Union of the Unwanted doesn't get 60 to 70% of its advertising from pharmaceutical companies.
That is true. That is true. We don't have advertising.
Nobody on that show is incentivized to be. It's so this kind of interesting, and I think at this point I should probably grab the Rockfin link and throw it into the YouTube chat and tell everyone who is watching us over on YouTube that we're going to continue the conversation on Rockfin. Because there's a couple of parts of Charlie's book that I want to talk about that would get us thrown off of YouTube. So,
my name will get you thrown off of YouTube at this point, I think.
You know what? My name will get you a QAnon context warning.
Really?
This was happening back in January, right after the insurrection.
I mean, even if you did videos where you talked about how Q was totally a psychological operation and you have to be mentally ill. I started doing
those videos in 2018, Charlie. Yeah. The debunk Q from like day one. Right after the insurrection, Gloria and I had done a couple of deep dives on the World Economic Forum had their Davos meeting like first weekend of February. So we went through like just hours of videos, torturous, and fucking, broke down several of the different summits that were available to the public. But at the World Economic Forum, you have to pay to subscribe to their website to get to go see what happens in the real meetings. But they still give you a lot of fucking horrifying content on the publicly available forums. QAnon context warning. QAnon every time we went on the air. QAnon context, regardless of what we were talking about. I'd go on somebody else's show, they would get a QAnon context warning. This is while all of the This was right after AOC sent out her memo to her supporters, like go target, flag, and report all of the accounts that are saying bad things about me. Kind of thing, and so like everybody on the
we'll take down the whole internet if we have to do that. I mean, everybody that's saying bad things about AOC. I mean, well, there goes.
Did you see that? Did you see the email though?
No, I didn't.
Like she
that's not the.
legit put an email out to her supporters saying, "Go target and report accounts that are putting out misinformation about January 6th and what happened to me."
You should go break all their store windows too, and put big yellow stars on it while you're at it, and rounds them up for resettlement in the East. I mean, holy shit! What I mean, Che Guevara's got a picture of AOC on his shirt. You know what I mean?
Right. Fucking little Joe Stalin wore AOC pajamas, motherfucker. All right, I'm gonna put the Rockfin link in the YouTube chat one more time. We're gonna go ahead and get the hell off of YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, why? Just click the link. You don't need an account to watch on Rockfin. If you want to participate in the chat, you can make your free account. If you really like what we do, you can endorse the show. It's $9.99 a month, and you get all of the paywall content on the network. It's a fantastic way to support content creators. And we will see everyone over on